A few days ago, a Korean media published a report that really made South Koreans feel frustrated. Here's what happened. Last year, India launched an investment promotion campaign targeting global automakers. At that time, what India offered, sorry, I made a mistake. It was tax incentives and various subsidies, which were really quite attractive. Although everyone knew that this might, perhaps, probably be a trap, they just couldn't resist the generous offers from Prime Minister Modi. If I remember correctly, some companies from the United States and China intended to take a gamble at that time. As for the result of the bidding, they were surely 100% certain to win the bid. However, later for some unknown reasons, these companies withdrew their bids. India didn't care much about this matter. After all, when fishing, it's all about the willing taking the bait. So after the United States and China withdrew, India continued the bidding. Then, South Korea's Kia Motors won the bid. Originally, Kia wasn't unaware of India's true nature. But it was in a declining state at the moment. So it also wanted to take a risk and give it a try in India. Maybe it could turn things around. After all, not only did Prime Minister Modi offer a lot, but there were also plenty of cheap laborers in India. If things were handled properly, it could not only enjoy the benefits from Modi but also make use of India's cheap labor. Even if it was fined by India in the end, there might still be some profit to be made. So after winning the bid, Kia Motors immediately started investing in building a factory in India. It has to be said that India's policies have improved a lot now. The process of building the factory was extremely smooth. There were no officials delaying things, and there were no land disputes. However, just this year, when it was ready to start production, Kia was stunned. They found that the 1,000 car engines that were transported from South Korea and prepared for assembly were gone. At first, they thought they had gone to the wrong warehouse. Later, after repeatedly confirming that they hadn't gone to the wrong warehouse, they realized that all the engines in the warehouse had completely vanished. The helpless person in charge of Kia in South Korea had no choice but to call the police. It has to be said that this time the South Koreans were really smart. After all, they had learned from their losses in India. While calling the police, they also called in reporters. With the supervision of the reporters, the efficiency of the Indian police in handling this case this time was remarkably high. Kia soon received a reply from the police. India stated that indeed, your engines had been stolen. The perpetrators were likely the local executives you had hired, who had collaborated with local workers to commit the crime. Regarding this, we, the Indian police, express our deep regret. You must conduct strict background checks when recruiting people in the future, to avoid such incidents from happening again. If you can't find reliable local people to serve as executives, I can recommend the son of our police chief's uncle to you. When the South Koreans heard this, they thought, what on earth is all this about? Since you found out who stole the engines, then you Indian police should quickly go and arrest the culprit, and retrieve our engines for us. Our factory is already built, and we're just waiting for this batch of engines to start production. At this moment, the Indian police spread out their hands and said regretfully that they couldn't retrieve the engines. All the engines had already been sold. Moreover, the main culprit had already taken the money and gone on a vacation in another country. Why don't you just go and buy another batch of engines first? As for retrieving the stolen ones, we'll need more time. Maybe it will take 10 days or half a month, maybe it will take 10 years or 8 years. As for how long it will ultimately take, it all depends on whether Lord Shiva is in a good mood or not. The South Koreans were almost driven to a fit of rage by the Indian police. But unfortunately, they had no way to deal with the Indian police. So they turned to the local government, hoping that the Indian government could give them an explanation. Regarding this matter, the local Indian government said that there was no better solution either and they could only wait for the police to solve the case slowly. The South Koreans knew very well what kind of attitude the Indian government was showing. It was just an unwritten rule. Didn't they just want some benefits? Well, fine, I'll give it to you. We just hope that you can find our engines back quickly. After doing what was needed in terms of social customs and showing proper favors, the local Indian government came up with an idea for Kia. The engines are definitely not going to be retrieved. But don't you have insurance? You should file an insurance claim. I'll ask the insurance company to compensate you, and you definitely won't suffer losses. So Kia went to the Indian insurance company. After checking, the insurance company said that indeed, Kia had bought insurance from them. But what you bought is insurance for the whole vehicle. These engines are parts, and they are not covered by the insurance. So Kia said that so-and-so from your government promised us that there would be no problem. The person in charge of the insurance company looked at the South Koreans who came empty-handed and responded with a look of disdain. Then you go and ask him for compensation. At this moment, the South Koreans also realized what was going on. They turned around, took a bag of Korean specialties from the car and handed it over. Only then did the person in charge of the insurance company smile and say, "There is still a way." After all, the rules are rigid, but people are flexible. How about this? You buy an insurance policy for auto parts now, and I'll consider it as if you've already bought it. Then we'll have an internal discussion and just go through the procedures to give you the compensation. It has to be said that the South Koreans have been falling for tricks year after year in India. And each time it's a different kind of deception. Having suffered so many losses in India, they still dared to trust the Indians. Fooled by the insurance company like this, they actually paid the money. Then Kia, which had paid the money, went to file an insurance claim. As a result, the insurance agent said that your engines were lost, not damaged. If they were lost, you should call the police. What are you doing coming to our insurance company? Upon hearing these words, the South Koreans felt as if they had been hit with a devastating blow of 10,000 units of emotional damage in their hearts. What the fuck? It wasn't you who told us to make up the insurance for the auto parts first and then you would give us the compensation, the insurance agent said. That's right. We did agree to let you make up the insurance payment. But that insurance only covers accidental water ingress into the engine. Yours were stolen, which is not within the scope of this insurance coverage. You should call the police and let them handle it. Our insurance company can't take care of this matter. The South Koreans were really left speechless and without any fight left in them. They wanted to find local reporters to cover the story, but not a single newspaper office was willing to step forward and report it. In the end, it was the South Korean media that exposed the incident. Well, that's all for today's video. Friends who like it, remember to like and subscribe. The next video will be even more exciting.